Hey guys, it's been a while since I've done a video, and I do plan on doing a vinyl update. But before I get to those videos, I thought I'd kind of test out using this new camera and setup that I have going on right now. And I wanted to talk about Deftones' latest release, Gore, which came out just a few days ago, probably like 3 by the time I post this video. Um, and I wanted to talk about it. I had a lot of anticipation for this record, and I think it's a great record. So first off, I think the cover art is just perfect. I really like the cover art. I think the title Gore, um, it's it works in a way to where it's like it doesn't seem like a flock of flamingos would be titled Gore, but then it fits. It's just weird. But anyway, getting into the record, the opening track is Prayers and Triangles, and this is the band's chosen single to represent this album. It was the first single to release, their first taste of the record, um, and it's a very melodic track with kind of like an explosive chorus that just it kind of soars, and I really like that. I think it's also good that they chose their primary single to be the first track on the record, because when people get into this record, it introduces something familiar to them if you've already heard the track. It's also just a solid opener. I think it's a really solid track. Definitely not like my favorite off the record, but it's up there with my favorite ones. Then it goes into the following track, which is Acid Hologram. And Acid Hologram is probably my favorite off the whole record. It starts off um, very melodic, like the first track, and then it builds up into this pre-chorus bridge that is just dark and gritty and very very different. Deftones hasn't done anything like it yet, really, but well, no, maybe they have. It's different, but it's also like it's them at the same time. Um, and I really like that part. It catches me because it's just so dark, and his voice is distorted, um, and you don't even know what he's saying because you can't comprehend it, and it's not in the lyrics booklet, or the lyrics gatefold, I should say. But that's probably my favorite track, and it seamlessly flows into the next track, Doomed User, and that track is the kind of heavier track off the record. It's also the second single that they released prior to the release of the album. Um, it's definitely a lot heavier. It reminds me of their earlier material, um, and I really like Doom User a lot. It's another one of my favorites. Um, check check the album out. I was gonna say check that song out, but no, check the album out. Um, After that is Geometric Headdress, which is a kind of rhymey kind of song. Like, he doesn't rhyme, but the way he goes through these lyrics is in such a way that it really gets stuck in your head very easily. Um, been listening to this record several times on repeat the past couple days, and this record, Geometric Headdress, is the one that's always getting stuck in my head. So that's a really good one. The next song is Hearts and Wires, or Hearts Wires. There's a slash. I say and. But this one is another really melodic one. Excuse me. Um, it was the third and final single that they released prior to the release of this album. It was about maybe a week before it released. Um, and it's another really good one. I really like the chorus in this one a lot. It's like not explosive like kind of how I wouldn't use that word like I did with Prayers and Triangles, but it's still a really powerful chorus, and I like that song a lot. The next song, Pittura Infamente. I'm probably butchering how it's supposed to be pronounced, but that is probably my least favorite off the record. Not to say it's a bad song, because I don't think the record has a bad song. I enjoy the whole record front to back. Um, but it's definitely, it stands out the least to me. Um, I talked to my father about this record, and that was actually his favorite song. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, everyone has their own uh, taste. So I'm not saying it's a bad song. It's just not my favorite off the record, obviously. The next track, Xenon. Um, this track reminds me most of Crosses, which, if you don't know, that's one of Chino Moreno, the frontman, his one of his side projects that he does, and I really like Crosses a lot. It's very different from Deftones. I don't. I'm not saying that if you like Deftones, you're gonna like Crosses. However, Xenon does sound a lot like Crosses vocally. I mean, obviously, Deftones has different instrumentation than Crosses does. They're different guys, except for the vocalist, obviously. But I think vocally it sounds a lot like Crosses, and intentional or not, I can understand how he would make that, how that's possible. Um, I mean, I think it's kind of cool because now, if you like that song, I would recommend to you to check out Crosses, and that's a good bridge to get into some of his other stuff. Um, so I kind of like that song, how that's in there. The next song is LMIRL, which is an abbreviation for Let's Meet in Real Life. It's used in chat rooms and stuff. This song, another one of my lesser favorites. Um, I like it a bit more than Pittura Infamente, but not as. It's definitely on the lower end. Um, Chevelle, if you guys have heard of that band, is my second favorite band, and I've always said that Chevelle and Deftones have these similarities um, that I can't stop hearing. I think they're both great bands. They're both favorite bands of mine. Um, but this song in particular, I think just the bass riff that they have going, it reminds me a lot of Chevelle, something that they would put out, and that just stuck out to me too. Um, and then after that, the next track is Gore, the title track off the record. And after you've had these four kind of slower toned songs, you're probably like starting to feel like, okay, the record's starting to slow down, into its close, and then Gore comes in and just is in your face aggression. It really reminds me of My Own Summer from their sophomore record, Around the Fur, um, which I love that song and that record and that aggression that they have when they're screaming "Shove it," and that's just, I mean, that's present in Gore, and it's awesome. I really like Gore a lot. Probably my second favorite track off the record. The next track is Phantom Bride, and Phantom Bride has this like guitar picking at the beginning of it that is just really appealing to the ears, I guess. This song kind of has like an epic build up to it, kind of almost like it could be kind of like behind a movie, like not exactly the soundtrack of the movie, but like a trailer maybe or something. I don't know. At first, listening to the song, the way he sings "You," it didn't appeal to me at first, but after listening to it a few times, I started to really like it, and I really like Phantom Bride. I think it's a good one. Then it goes into the final track, Rubicon, which I really like. I think it's an excellent close to the album. It just feels like, okay, this is the end of the record. Like, even if you didn't know it was the last song, it just has this feeling that it's closing up the thing. It kind of builds up this grand picture and then finishes it. And I think it's an excellent closer for the record. Kind of like how Prayers and Triangles was a good introduction of the record. This song just closes it off. I think the record is really well structured like that. I think they really thought about the long play of the record, starting from front to back. It starts off great. It really picks up with some higher energy, and then settles down for some softer stuff, and it picks up that energy again, and then closes it off, which I really enjoy listening to this record a lot. I've listened to it several times, as I mentioned. I think it's a great record. I think that the rest of the records that release this year are going to have a hard time living up to this one. We'll see. I mean, last year I did a top 50 records of 2015 on Instagram. Maybe this year I'll do something for, you know, a video for it. But yeah, this is a really solid record. Check it out if you haven't. Deftones Gore. I think it's excellent.